Good evening. Welcome to Kaynichole After Dark. I am your host, Kaynichole. And tonight we are going to discuss racial misnomers. So I'm going to take my first glass, my first drink for the night. Still the unalcoholic wine. Not very delicious at all, but we make do until we get our batch of wine coming through. So, first drink, okay. And again, welcome to Kaynichole After Dark. If you've missed any of the past episodes, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube. Please follow, like, subscribe to all of it so that you can be in the know and get your notifications when I do go live. So, in tonight's conversation, I want to address, good evening. In tonight's conversation, I want to address misnomers. So recently like I said, I do a lot of different things, and I'm on different podcasts where we have different conversations. And sometimes those conversations bring the subject matter kind of resonates with me where I want to share it with the masses. So that's kind of what occurred this past weekend. So basically, there was a gentleman on one of my other podcasts and was talking about dating and relationships, which you know that this is the platform where we discuss everything regarding relationships in the Black community. And it was discussed about how Black men and Black women are at odds with each other. At least that is the PR that is currently going on, that Black men, Black women, we're constantly at odds with each other. We cannot find any common ground. And as great as the PR has been for our community regarding how much we do not get along, how much we do not aren't there for each other, there's a strong separation between the Black woman and the Black man. I have to say that even though that is that's the PR, that's what's being spoken and gets the most attention, that we're at odds with each other, there are plenty of successful Black relationships where kings and queens are building each other up, where people are getting married and having children and creating generational wealth. Like, these are not concepts that are foreign. Yes, it might not be the majority of everybody having them, but they do exist within our community. And that is something that we need to admire, acknowledge, and lift up and see how, and go towards that, towards the relationships that are doing well and doing successful, going towards those more so than the red balloon challenges and those things that are actually being divisive, right? So in any case, it was shared that we are the most Black men and women, our race, our culture is the most divisive. Now, how that is, there is truth in that, because two things can be true. Okay, we can understand two things can be true. Yes, in the Black community, there is a lot of divisiveness. The Black woman against the Black man. However, that is not, good evening, Lothario. That is not just on our particular culture. I have had, even though I appear and am a black woman, I have other races that are part of my family and within my blood. And so I've had an opportunity to be in other spaces, safe spaces, but I've been able to be in those spaces no less. And every race of people have their own divisiveness and separation. Now, I was told, and this is where I have the conversation, they were like, Caucasian men hold down their females, they won't let anybody do anything to their females, say anything to their females, and everything like that. That might be true. That very well might be true. However, it has been my experience and my knowledge that oftentimes many Caucasian men will talk down to their spouses directly and to others while their spouse is present. And I will give you a story time. Okay, I was at this dinner, at this function, where it was a mixture, white, black, but the men were talking about cooking or something like that, in the meals or whatever. And this guy, a white gentleman, was talking disgracefully about his wife's cooking. And right there, her standing right next to him, talking about her cooking and talking about her like she wasn't even there. And, she played it off. They kind of went back and forth in this like toxic one-upping of sorts. But the thing is, what I'm pointing out to you is that he disrespected her right there in front of everybody. Did not matter if you were family or friend. He disrespected his wife right in front of her with other people present. Now, had anybody else said anything about his wife, I'm pretty sure he would have said something. But he felt that it was okay for him to say disparaging things about his wife while she's right there. I am more than pleased and happy to say that I have very doubts that my black brethren would say any disparaging remarks about their wife while she's present, much less while she's around other people. Yes, we will joke, oh, a black woman will do this or that, or whatever case might be, right? Something that will show that she's upset and go up like, they might say, oh, if I talk about my wife's cooking, I better not plan on eating anything inside the house. I'm eating takeout all day long. Like, that's the joke. But we know culturally a black man would never speak ill of his wife in public, especially in mixed company. Like, I don't see that happening, and everybody's experiences are their own. I'm not downing or basically dismissing anyone's particular experience. But I do find it upsetting when people say that we are so divisive as a people, when there are many other cultures and race of people that have it as well. Every race has their own issues. Okay. And though I am quick to acknowledge and want to assess and assist our issues, we have to acknowledge that how we see ourselves, how we talk about ourselves is important, because we share that in all of our daily experiences, how we interact with people, how we feel about ourselves, and how we see ourselves as people. And other races take that in. And I just want I want it to be on the record from myself, and that I put it out here in the universe, that we need to stop being so hard on ourselves about where we are, because we had help. Okay? Other races have, people that come in and, and are around, but they aren't as welcoming as our culture is. Okay? You could be purple, green, orange. Culturally, African American Black people, we're always quick to have camaraderie and say, come in, welcome, you can join us. And that is part of the problem. Not everybody can come and sit at the table. Certain people need to be vetted. Okay? I have family, like I said, I have family that is Asian, right? It's about whether or not you're a banana, right? Asian on the outside, white on the inside. If you're a coconut, for my Indian, Pakistan people, white on the inside, brown on the outside. Like, there are other cultures, other races that look at and do disparaging things between each other, mostly when it comes to finances. Because I've heard Caucasian people call another one cracker, or call another one, a redneck. I've seen, Indian people in my own family talk about, this one not being darker and this one being lighter, and and yes, that's more of a skin complexion and financial separation rather than a gender separation. But again, what I'm saying is, and what I'm trying to share is, that there is divisiveness, separation in every culture. And I would say it stems from one place, but I'm not going to go into that history lesson. That's something that you need to do research on your own and feel if it fits you. Because I'm not going into, my role is not here to be political, even though it stems in political soil, I will say what I'm saying. But for us as Black folks, the separation has been because we allow people to infiltrate into our world. And then not only allow them to infiltrate, but to have say, okay, in what's going on. And have a seat at the table and say that they can. So we are at fault of that as a people, okay? And it's not wrong that we're welcoming and that we're quick to allow people to be with us. I mean, that is a beautiful thing about our culture, about our people, that we're welcoming. However, discretion is involved. Discretion is necessary, because we're allowed to have other cultures date our people and then have a seat at the table and be able to say certain things or whatever and stuff like that. And that is a problem. That is a serious problem. You could never, you have people that are Spanish or white, that because they believe they grew up in this quote unquote hood, that they're allowed to use the N-word because they grew up around it. No, it's not for you. But the thing is that we don't say, no, you can't say that or whatever and stuff like that. We accept it and go along with the slang with them. And that is part of the problem. We allow the divisiveness to occur because we allow other people to infiltrate. And then again, like I said, have say. There, you will never see that a person, Caucasian family member, somebody marry into the family, from another race or anything like that, and have a whole bunch to say about the family. No, they're going to remain strong. You will still be considered an outsider, and not saying that that's how we need to be, but I am strongly suggesting that we have more discretion about who we're allowing to sit at our tables. Because we say, at times, we are the catalyst to our own demise. And I am saying that we need to be a little bit more insightful and have more discretion about who can come and sit at the table and say about, oh, our women, oh, our men, and stuff like that. We're the only ones. And that's where the problem lies, in my opinion. Because again, like I said, I see it all the time that there is divisiveness in all different ways. Like I said, I see certain men, Caucasian men, because it's not all. Everything, it's not all. It's always some or most. But that can talk poorly about their women. And I don't see that happening. I mean, I see that, yes, a lot of men in the culture call the women bees. And now women are calling themselves bees. And I really have never been a fan of that, per se. Because I don't feel like you're giving it a different connotation. It's still the same word. Even when people say, oh, the N word, oh, I say it because it still has the same meaning. It means an ignorant person. Has the same meaning. I don't care if you say it, I say it. It still means an ignorant person at the end of the day. A bee is still going to be a female dog at the end of the day. So why? It is what it is, what it is, what it is, what it is. And trying to give it a different connotation, trying to give it a different voice. No. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, has feathers like a duck, it's a duck. Regardless of what kind of spin you put on it. So I just really wanted to address that mainly. What other topics do I have for tonight? We can definitely get into the next topic. I will talk about the second topic, but I will not go into, I did have a plethora of conversation I wanted to talk about, but because that came to me, it hit my spirit, I just had to address it, because I just feel like we constantly talk about Repo 215FF says media desensitizes everything that isn't normal or right. Agreed. I do agree with you on that. But I also feel, again, I don't know when you came in, but that the bad PR, the negative stuff always gets the most attention. And that is upsetting. It's concerning, but I mean, that is how society is, right? People are quicker to look at a train accident versus congratulating a person on starting a new business. People would love to watch the accident. Oh, you started a new business? Oh, okay, that's nice. That's nice. I'd rather see the car crash. I'd rather see the turmoil, the danger, and we really need to get out of that mindset. because that's just become people nowadays. We're just, hard up seeing the negative stuff. And I just want to tell you that I'm here to uplift. This is what Kaynichole After Dark is about. It's about looking sexy while trying to educate and have you guys have a different outlook and hopefully build a bridge to better conversation so that we can have more Black weddings, generational wealth, Black babies out here, Not that I'm against being mixed or any of that. I'm not going to be against, blending. But I do have an issue when you start to think that what you are is no good, that other is better. When I start thinking that a Spanish girl is better than me, I got a problem. When I think that an Indian girl is better than me, then I got a problem. When I start to think that a white girl is better than me, I got a serious problem. So we should be uplifting ourselves and building bridges. So I will always uplift my Black man. And as a Black man, you should be uplifting your Black women and being their big brother, big sister. For the women, big sisters. We all have to to teach and uplift each other. And I feel like in this day and age, and I don't know where we got to this, because we used to be a people that always looked out for each other. We used to be there used to be neighborhoods that everybody knew who everybody's child was and paid attention and everything. And we've just moved so far from that, where it's it's not your business. It's not. But that is how we stayed strong as a people. By having the togetherness that we no longer have. And so I feel like, again, I'm very much old school when it comes to certain things and who I was taught from and educated by. Let me just see this real quick. To enjoy money says, hey, love, I'm going to finish up at work. Love what you're doing. Great show. Oh, thank you. Repo 215 FF says 100%. Yeah, we need to go back to certain aspects of life. Because when a person says to me that we have the most division out of any other race, when I know that's bullshit, but that gives the best PR. That's awesome. Black people can never get it together. Y'all are so separated. Y'all are so divided. Yes. I'm not going to say that there is not some truth to that, because there's always going to be in the bunch a person that's a turncoat, that just because they look like us, they aren't us. That's always going. But that is from history. That is a history political discussion on separation and why certain people cause division amongst the group. If you know how strong you are together, why would you ever break apart? And that is what time through society has done to us. That's why it was about breaking up the Black homes and locking up all our men and putting them in jails. It's all systemic. It all leads from something. But this is not who we are as a people. As a people, we're all oh, come in, baby. Come in. Let me make some chicken for you. Let me do something for you. And we need to stop that behavior. We need to stop being so open to letting everybody come to our table and sit at our table and be able to use the N-word and be able to. No, you cannot break bread with me the same way I break bread with my brethren and my sisterin. But we allow them to do this same exact thing. You can't know. And it's not rude. It's knowing where there's a boundary. And we as a community have lacked boundaries. Y'all might not agree with me. If you do agree, put some hearts up. You might not. I don't know. But if you look at your history, we as a people have been a welcoming. We open the door. And sometimes when you open doors, you're not able to close them. And I feel as a people, we have yet to been able to close this door and be able to have a safe space to be able to build, because there are constantly infiltrators that share what they think about our culture and can say, I mean, it is so deep. It's so deep. And I won't be able to just handle it and be able to take and discuss it in this short amount of time. Because I'm only given an hour to be here and to talk to y'all. But make no mistake that it's the negative PR that runs rampant. Positive news stays quiet. We gotta wait. We gotta be patient for it to get to a certain level. While the negative should just be exploding, like pow. No. We should be doing better by each other. Kells, Mr. Blunt himself says 100%. Yeah. So be mindful what you speak out, because there's so much power in the tongue. We need to speak life into each other. And the only way to speak life into each other is to, every time you see something that's negative, like the red balloon challenges or the I'm not eating at cheesesteak or whatever, Ruth Chris, I'm not yet, to push that with love, with a couple that are going on a walk on the park, or a couple that is just Netflixing and chilling and just celebrating our wins. Because the negativity is going to be out there. There's going to be a bunch of red balloons. There's going to be a bunch of women saying that men ain't shit. Bunch of men saying women ain't shit. We need to bypass that, because there's always going to be negativity. Okay? Yeah, I'm not going to lie. The dating pool is not that great right now. It's not. It could be better, but it's up to us to make it better. So, do I take responsibility in what the dating pool looks like? Yeah. Because I can educate as an older female to these young 18, 17-year-olds, 20-year-olds. Like, yo, it doesn't matter where he takes you. It matters that he's a decent, kind man that wants to get to know you. He doesn't disrespect you. Young man, she doesn't have to give you sex. But what she can provide for you is making you feel wanted and making you feel safe, that you can express yourself without feeling like you're being condemned for being a man and sharing feelings and everything like that. That a woman has the nerve to call you sassy because you want to share your feelings. How dare she? That is what we should be talking about. That is what we should be saying. Like, no. Women cutting other women off at the legs saying, no, don't call him sassy because he wants to share his feelings. Because he's putting you in your place and letting you know he's not going to accept that. That does not make him sassy. That makes him putting down boundaries and knowing who he is as a man. But it only can go so far unless we say something. and not just watching. Because again, we as a people love to watch the fucking car crash. Be better than that. Be better than that. Okay. Know who is sitting at your table. Know who's sitting at your table. And make sure that, because I don't know about y'all, because it has been a long time, because there's only event planners. But back in the day, women used to plan dinners. Okay. People used to plan dinners. And people only seem to be caring about this kind of stuff when they're at weddings and stuff. But when you are planning dinners and wanting to conversation, you have a seating chart, right? Most of y'all might not even know about this, because I'm bringing something that a lot of y'all probably don't even know about what the fuck I'm talking about. But when you're hosting and you're having events and you're doing things, you have a seating chart, okay? About who's going to sit next to who's going to have the conversation and stuff like that. You know everybody that's coming to the party. Not everybody can sit next to everybody else, because it's not going to be a positive experience. This is the same thing I'm talking about when we allow other races, other people that don't look like us but can be part of the conversation. Know who's sitting at your table. Know what they can be a part of. Know who they can sit next to and talk to and say what they need to say, or if they can't say anything at all. But to just allow everybody to sit next and intermingle with everybody, no. Causing chaos. And that's what we have right now. Because everybody's intermingling with conversation. So, yeah. I challenge you guys to speak life, speak knowledge into the people that are younger than you. Because it's the game is getting all messed up. And I'm on my best that we together are here to correct it. But let me go into the next topic now. Okay. Thank you for those that are coming in. Thank you for tuning in to Kaynichole After Dark. If you're just tuning in, you can always check them out. Check the replays on YouTube. They come out at 10 o'clock on Thursdays, but you can always see the recaps. Please like, follow, subscribe. And if you are always enjoying the lives, make sure that you put your notifications on. If you appreciate my work, I always accept badges. So please buy a badge, get a gift. You know, if you want to zell me, you can do that too. But in the meantime, I appreciate you guys giving badges, supporting the page and the channel however you can. So the next topic I had was, should you be entitled to what your partner saves? Okay. Now, I found this to be an interesting topic because when you're married, right, they say what's yours is theirs, and what's theirs is yours, right? Everybody is sharing. When you're married, you have to share, right? Now, but say, okay, that your partner is saving. They were saving before they met you. I'm not saying like a prenup or anything like that. It's just, you guys are in a relationship. It could be dating or marriage, because some people are in very serious relationships and, they're living together, right? They're not married, but they're living together and they're in a committed relationship, right? However you see fit, however, it's your lifestyle, right? But should you be entitled? Hello, street soldier, the general, how are you? Should you be entitled to what your partner saves? I mean, in marriage, a lot of people feel like, yes, they should be entitled to it. It's a partnership. But some might feel like, no, you're not entitled to it. What they save is what's theirs, And so I was personally thinking that, you should really have your own. Like each person should have their own, and then you should have an account that y'all both pour into. Because no, you're not. I don't really feel that you're entitled to what your partner saves. Kels, Mr. Blunt says no, that you are not entitled to that. Okay, but some people might say that they are. So that's why it's a conversation. Excuse me. On whether or not a person should share. I personally feel like that is up to the individual. If they want to share with their partner the money that they've saved, then power to you, because you don't know what they saved for. They could be saving for a vacation. They could be saving for a house. They could be saving, you don't know. But for a person to think that they're entitled to it, I think is very bold and very brazen. I also think that it's worth having a conversation. Hi, how are you? I want to see you for my B-Day. We'll look into it. Street Soldier, the general says, if you're saving while I'm sacrificing, I feel I should be entitled to a portion if I ever need it. Okay, see? So that's a different side of it. So yeah, I think that's a worthy conversation to have, it all depends on the couple. But I do think that people think that when they're in a relationship that they're automatically entitled to stuff. And I believe that should be a conversation that you have with your partner. You shouldn't automatically think that because you guys are together that is something that they should share, you should be entitled to. I believe that it is strongly necessary to have a conversation. And I do agree with you, Street Soldier, that if they're saving and they're but is that a conversation that y'all made? Because maybe they didn't ask you to sacrifice, but you chose to. So then what? So I do strongly feel that in a relationship, when it comes to money or anything that has to do with finances, you should definitely have a conversation. But I just wanted to bring this up as a topic because I know that a lot of people live with people that live with a partner and they might hustle different from them. And so if my hustle looks different from your hustle, should you be entitled to it? Like, if I am dating a guy that has a full-time job, right? 9 to 5. That's all he does. 9 to 5. But then have my 9 to 5, but then I also have my side hustles. I do hair. I'm a makeup artist. I Uber. I teach, reading, or I'm a piano teacher on the side. Like, are those things that they should should they have accessibility to, even though I'm the one doing it? Like, you have your 9 to 5, but then I have all these other side hustles. So shouldn't that money be my money because I'm the one that's working hard to have it? So Kells, Mr. Blunt himself says, aren't both parties sacrificing? Don't make sense. Well, some people feel like they should sacrifice while the other person should save it. Some people have it depends on what your skill set is. Some people are bad savers, so they look for their partner to save the money. Like, I'm going to give you this amount and I want you to save it for me. However, because I watch a lot of my ID and investigation shows and stuff like that, that is usually the person that dies because they're not keeping up with their finances and there's only one person paying attention to it. So in that instance, it can be very scary. Your life could be on the line. But outside of that, I just do really feel that it should be a conversation between both parties on how they should manage their money. Because I can't answer that question. It really depends on the two people that are in it. But personally, I feel, outside of just having a conversation, that the only time a person should be entitled to it is if they're not working. If you guys are living together and you obviously know that your partner is not working, that's the only time I think that they would be entitled to it, because you have to maintain your partner. If you're living together and y'all are a team or one, then you have to maintain them. And that's the only time when I would feel like they're entitled to it, because I have to make sure that they're good. If my partner, if my husband has been laid off and he's not working, then it is up to me to make sure that his clothing stays up to par while he's looking for a job. I have to make sure that he gets his haircut taken care of. I got to make sure that if we both have cars, that his car insurance and his car shit is taken care of. Like, that's part of being a team. So that's the only time I would most likely agree with my stuff being their stuff, is when they're not working. And so I don't have a choice. But if you're working and we're both working, then we should be splitting it down the middle, or mine is mine and yours is yours, But that's definitely a conversation that needs to be had. But yeah, that's how I feel on that note. So, I know that we had a short time because I spoke a lot on the first topic, but I feel the first topic is the meat and potatoes, because we really need to do better as a group. I just feel that we are such a great people. We have done so much collectively, and the way we can do better is by having conversations, having tough conversations, and letting people that want to enter into our worlds and be divisive, that we do not allow them to have seats at the table and to talk. You got to be mindful. They're not allowed to talk. You're not allowed to have a seat at this table and converse and share your thoughts when you're not like us. And I mean, it sounds like very anti anyone that's black, and that's not what I'm going for. I'm really not. I'm just saying that other races do not allow everybody to sit at the table and to commence and eat with them and share their thoughts. And we need to be just as selective. We can't embrace everybody, because that's what we've done in the past and it has hurt us. That's why, that's why slavery was able to last so long. I mean, you had to have help. You had to have division amongst the slaves. We can be together. Yes, there's always going to be a few people that, are for the separation or for the divisiveness, that are for the breakdown of our people. But we can weed them out. And they can sit at the child's table. They can sit at a different table. Give them the different, seating arrangement. They can sit there. As we discussed earlier, they don't have to sit at our table. They can sit at the children's table. They can commence over there. Let the grown folks have the conversation. We gonna be all right. So that is pretty much the end of Kaynichole After Dark. It's 10:23, so I'm going to end it on this note that we are amazing. My brothers, you are amazing. My sisters, you are amazing. Keep being fantastic. So again, have a good night. Thank you for tuning in to Kaynichole After Dark. Please like, follow, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you don't have it, It's in my bio, so make sure that you go there, check out past episodes. So thank you for tuning in. Always keep your crown straight. I'll be in touch, and I hope that you do the same. Take care and have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.